Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Hare Krishna. Welcome. You're welcome to sit if you like to share or whatever is comfortable for you. Or stand. So thank you. Welcome to our Sunday Feast program here at the Devotional Mandir. So we'll have a short discussion on the Bhagavad-gītā as it is. This is the essence of all of our Vedic philosophy condensed into its core principles to teach us how to find perfection in life. So I'll read this verse from the second chapter, 40th verse. The title of the chapter, Contents of the Gita Summarized. So it reads that in this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Purport. Activity in Krishna consciousness is acting for the benefit of Krishna without expectation of sense gratification. It is the highest transcendental quality of work. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that small beginning be lost at any stage. Any work begun on a material plane has to be completed. Otherwise, the whole attempt becomes a failure. But any work began in Krishna consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not finished. The performance of such work is therefore not a loss in this work. Even if his work in Krishna consciousness is incomplete, 1% done in Krishna consciousness bears permanent results. So the next, my eyes are having a hard time moving. So that the next beginning is from the point of 2%, whereas in material activity, without 100% success, there is no profit. A Jamila performed his duty in the same percentage of Krishna consciousness, in some percentage of Krishna consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end was 100%, by the grace of Lord. There is a nice verse in connection in Śrīla Prabhupāda. Tyaka Saradavam Charanam. Okay, I'm not going to, I can't read, my eyes are not focusing. Sorry, the light is. Thank you. Okay. Tyaktva Saradamam Charanarujam Hare Bhajanam Apyakto Tapate Yato Yadi Yatrakva Vadanam Muschakim Kovartana Apto Bhajatam Swadharmataha. If someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on this path? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Or, as the Christians say, what profit the man if he gained the whole world yet suffered the loss of his eternal soul? Material activities and their results end with the body, but work in Krishna consciousness carries a person again in Krishna consciousness, even after the loss of the body. At least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born again as a human being, either in a family of a great cultured Brahmana or a rich aristocratic family that will give one further chance for elevation. That is the unique quality of work done in Krishna consciousness. Om Jnanati Vinandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Virati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sakata Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Veeramandra Jayapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosmite Kapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwamanoske Devi Anamami Parinte Manchakalpa Tarubhyasya Vipasindhu Devacha Patitanam Bhavadevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nami Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Just read the verse again. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So sorry, I butchered the thing. I did not bring my glasses. And I know I was giving class today. But anyways, let us have a discussion here on this very important verse. And also, we are on the eve of celebrating a very important festival in our Vedic calendar, and that is Snanya. So tomorrow will be a very, very important day in which we get one of the greatest blessings from the Lord, which we'll discuss a little bit later in the discussion today. So, this endeavor. So, we see that our endeavor in anything we do is based on faith in the outcome. So, we put forth endeavor in things that we have faith in. If we put so much faith into this piece of paper that will manifest at the end of completing a college degree. And so we will put forth so much effort, overcome all kinds of obstacles, distractions, setbacks, challenges, to acquire them. Because we have faith that that diploma will help us achieve something. In fact, we have faith that will help us achieve some more paper. Green paper, money. Although now that this example doesn't work so well because we don't even see our money anymore. It's just a number. We can see that our entire faith is based and built on this, digital thing that shows up on a phone or a computer website that we hope tomorrow will be there. But we have no idea, actually. But we have faith in that system. And so thus, because of our faith in that, we endeavor greatly. We work very hard to advance in that point. But as Śrīla Prabhupāda writes, this endeavor in material affairs, it has a major flaw, which is that if it's not 100% complete, it has no value. So you may go through university and finish all your courses for your major and complete, so many different exams and papers and everything. But if you're missed one requirement, just one requirement, you are that paper will come. And all that endeavor, sure, maybe you acquired some knowledge, but what your goal was of that, gone. This is the nature of anything, You have a beautiful vegetable garden in your backyard, and you are growing the best organic vegetables, watering and fertilizing, and waiting for the sun to come so that they can grow very nicely. And at the perfect time, you harvest those vegetables, and then you go into your house and you cook those vegetables in the best pan with the best spices and everything, and understand exactly how long to cook it, and everything is perfect. And then you sit down after offering to the Lord, of course, and you realize you forgot salt. What is the result of that endeavor?
No taste. It's useless.
It's ruined. It's ruined. This is the material form. But the Supreme Lord, our loving Father, He is so eager and kind and loving to us that He wants to make our endeavor in His work very encouraging, inspiring, and fruitful. And so He does extraordinary things. He makes the service of the Lord with no prerequisites. That it doesn't matter what one's knowledge is, how many Sanskrit shlokas they can speak, how they dress, whether they're tall or short, rich or poor, learned or unlearned, it doesn't matter. He says, it is a matter of your heart. That if you offer to me, yome bhaktya prayachati, that if you offer to me with love, even just patram pushpam phalam or toyam, a glass of water, just a glass of water offered to the Lord is so pleasing to Him. If it's accompanied with a couple of ice cubes, some tulsi leaves, it's offered with love and devotions. And Krishna says, I will accept it. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead saying, I will accept it. Just think about this for a second. If you want to offer a glass of water to your favorite movie star, or musician, or athlete, can you do it? Could you offer them a glass of water? You can't offer them anything. They're unapproachable. But the Supreme Lord, who is the creator of everything, is so approachable that He stands here in this form, waiting for us to come and see Him, ready to accept whatever we can offer to Him with love and devotion. And the amazing thing is that He says right in the very beginning, we're in the second chapter of 18 chapters of Bhagavad-gītā. And so right in the beginning, He says, whatever you do, there is no loss or diminution. So, let us compare all that work we did, and that we may be doing to accumulate. I'll just pick one thing: wealth in this world. This bank account we have. I'm looking around just to make sure my next statement will work. Right? It'll work. What will be the balance of that account after 100 years? It won't be ours. It won't be ours. Actually, we know. We came into this world with
Nothing.
nothing. Not even the shirt on our back. And we're going to leave this world with
Nothing.
not even this body is ours. We're going to return it back to earth. whatever your customs declare, whether you bury, burn, put in the ocean, whatever it is, it's going back to. So we came into this world with nothing, and we are leaving this world with nothing. So everything that we are working so hard to acquire, it has a very temporary duration. It doesn't last. Yet, it becomes the sole focus of our every endeavor, from morning to night, the same endeavor. So this Bank of America, PNC, Chase, wherever you choose to bank, that bank account is very temporary. But what about our spiritual bank account? Krishna says here, whatever deposits you make into your spiritual bank account, that is yours eternally. Prabhupada writes in a purport, 1% finished in Krishna consciousness is 1% finished. Next time, you start at 2%. Let me ask, Albert Einstein, maybe the greatest mathematician to walk the planet, arguably one of the best. In his next life, did he have to learn 2 plus 2 all over again? Everything resets. But what doesn't reset? Our spiritual bank account. We may forget what we did for the Lord, but guess who never forgets? Krishna. He never forgets. Even the littlest of service we do, He remembers. And this fact alone gives us great faith and confidence. Because every endeavor I make in this world, none of it I'm taking with me. Except for my spiritual life. Nothing else. Because like we said, what do we come in here with? And what are we leaving with? So everything that we're working so hard for. But if we redirect that energy to the service of the Lord, who is so eager to receive our service, then we will find real perfection in life, real purpose of life, and the real happiness that we are all searching for. Anybody woke up today wanting to be unhappy? No, every day we wake up with the same goal. And we endeavor in so many different ways. But seemingly we get the same result, which is we find those fleeting moments, and then they are met with prolonged disappointments. So Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is so kind and merciful and loving that He says, even if you half-bake the vegetables, no problem. Pick up tomorrow and continue baking. If you forget the salt, no problem. Just add it again. He doesn't look at the actual object of the offering. He looks at the quality of the consciousness of the heart that went into that offering. And that is the wonderful, loving positioning. And He makes it so that this process can be followed, again, by anyone. And the results are very tangible. He says in the 9th chapter, Raja Vidya Rajadeya, this is the most confidential knowledge, it's the king of knowledge. And in the 3rd line he says, Pratyaksha Bhagavam. He says that you can experience the result of this service to the Lord. It is not some theoretical, hypothetical thing. But there is a tangible calming of the heart, cleansing of the mind, clarity of vision that results from a spiritually centered life. And that result propels one forward. Because otherwise we live in a life of fear. At the end of this verse, Krishna says, protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. What is fear? Fear is the emotion experienced at the prospect of losing something we value. Just think about that for a second. Fear is the emotion that we experience when the potential to lose something of value confronts us. You know, here in these streets, every Thursday morning we take out our trash. Anybody has fear of losing their trash? No. Why? Because they don't value it. But we fear losing our car, losing our possessions, losing our relationships, losing what's the greatest of all fears? Death. Death. Because we are fearful of losing this body. But think about this. Krishna is saying that whatever you have put into your spiritual bank account, is it ever lost? Is there any prospect of losing it? And when one comes to become enlightened, they realize that but for that spiritual bank account, everything else is a relative accomplishment. Meaning it has some purpose, but ultimately it will serve us no real purpose. But that what will serve us real purpose, our spiritual life, that is forever ours. So a devotee of the Lord has no fear, because that which they value, their spiritual life, is eternally protected by the grace of the Lord. And so this gives us great confidence to practice spiritually, day in and day out, knowing that those deposits I make every time I chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One deposit made into our bank account. Don't underestimate it. We may be chanting for hours a day, or we may have never chanted a moment in our life. But don't underestimate the extraordinary value of that deposit made into our spiritual life. It is so powerful. And so this is some of the great blessings the Lord gives us. And on a day like tomorrow, we'll be celebrating this festival called Kṛṣṇa. It's an extraordinary demonstration of the Lord's mercy and compassion upon all of us. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, seated in the form on the right-hand altar, who's known on the rightmost deity as Lord Jagannath, on the leftmost of that altar, Lord Balaram, they are brothers, and in the middle, Subhadra Mai, who is his sister. Ordinarily, to see the Lord, we have to come and see Him. We have to come and see Him. But on July 19th, the Lord, these same deities, are going to come out of the temple. And they're going to go to Novi. And they're going to get aboard a giant 4-story tall chariot. And they are going to give their presence to everyone and anyone. So those who are not able or willing to come and see the Lord, He is so eager that He's willing to come out and see us. If we wanted to go to see the king of some land or the president of some land, are they eager to come see us? But the Supreme Personality of Godhead is coming out to see us on this vessel. What could be more merciful and compassionate? You know what could be more merciful and more compassionate than that? Tomorrow. How? These same deities, Lord, their lordships, are going to come out onto the altar, onto the temple floor. And they're going to give each and every person who comes an opportunity to offer water, milk, different substances to them, to bathe them. Will we let anybody bathe us? But here, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so eager to us making some deposits into our spiritual bank account. He says, you just come and be here and offer one shell. You'll get some milk or water in a shell. And just offer. And your life will be changed forever. Such extraordinary reciprocation. In the end, it's a Monday, I have to work, I have this, it's a long drive. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is coming out from the altar to allow us to do this. Such an extraordinary display of His love and compassion. And this is the Lord making every possible arrangement for us. And what is our responsibility? To put forth some endeavor. To put forth some endeavor. Knowing that whatever endeavor we make, there is no loss, there is no diminution. It is eternally our bank account deposit. And so, let us, inspired by the statements from the Lord in this Bhagavad-gītā, make some endeavor to serve the Lord, to chant the holy names of the Lord, to come and participate in this great festival taking tomorrow. And if we do, guaranteed, no loss, no diminution, and you will be protected from the greatest type of fear. Śrīla Prabhupāda, Ananda Buddhi Vaishnava. Any discussion, any comments, questions? Topics we can discuss.
Prabhu, can you elaborate on the history of Snana?
Elaborate on?
The history behind Snana.
The history of Snana. So, Snana is actually the appearance day of Lord Jagannath. So, this festival commemorates the appearance day of the Lord. And in Jagannath Puri, where Lord Jagannath resides, which is on the eastern seaboard of India, kind of midway up the country, this festival is celebrated in a very elaborate way, in which, because one of the ways in which we worship and glorify the Lord is to offer abhishek. And that's the technical term for the bathing ceremony. It is called abhishek. And this abhishek is performed in Jagannath Puri in a public stage, and everybody can see. But we're so fortunate here in Jagannath Puri. If you go and try to offer Abhishek, no chance, no chance. But here the Lord is so merciful that He gives anyone who walks through those doors. No ID is checked, no credentials are checked, no calibration of anything. Just show up. What better bargain we could get? And so the festival takes place in India, again in Jagannath Puri, where the Lord is offered so many varieties, but primarily water because it is wood. They don't offer other things. And he takes this ceremonial bath, and then after that, he performs a pastime of being sick. And why he performs this pastime of being sick? Because the Lord has many, many servants. But there's always some transcendental competition for his service. And, we think, okay, somebody is, more qualified, somebody is less qualified, somebody is quote-unquote senior, junior. It's all bogus. Only Krishna knows who is qualified and who is not. Because he understands the core of our heart. So there are devotees who are otherwise not afforded the opportunity to serve the Lord. But during this 15-day period, only they and their family are allowed to worship the Lord. And by external circumstances, not such celebrated position in society, but they have this great opportunity. So the Lord enjoys receiving this very intimate service from them, in which He, is recuperating. Of course, the Lord never falls ill. That is a material disease, but the Lord plays this pastime. And after 2 weeks of being out of public sight, again, worship in a very private way. So our lordships will also leave the altar for some time to be worshipped in that way. Then the Lord comes out and gives us magnificent darshan. So this is that will take place on the Rath Yatra day. And so this Snana Yatra, again, it is signifies the appearance day of Lord Jagannath. So that's why we are this year, for the first time, actually celebrating it on the actual day. We were advised by sincere devotees who said you should celebrate Snana Yatra not just whenever you want, but on the actual day of the Lord's appearance, because it is His appearance. We don't celebrate Janmashtami on whatever day we want. We don't celebrate Gaura Purnima on whatever day we want. So this was the advice, and it was very good advice, and so we're very blessed. We can celebrate, of course, again separately, but very, very auspicious to receive the blessings of the Lord on His appearance day. And by simply offering with love and devotion our Abhishek, our life is transformed. Anything else? Any other questions, comments, discussion? Yes?
What are some practical ways to get over fears from a Krishna conscious perspective?
Some practical ways to get over fear. Well, this verse is the perfect answer to that. So, how was Prahlad Maharaj fearless? Prahlad Maharaj was 5 years old, and he was subjected to extreme circumstances. If we compare what Prahlad Maharaj went through to what we go through, what is the scope of our fear? Just irrelevant. So if it worked for him, we know it will work for us. Okay? So the most practical and easiest way to have faith and lose our fear is, who is Krishna in relation to us? Huh?
Our divine.
Our divine Father. Our divine Father. So when we were children and we were growing up, how many of us experienced a moment, or 10, or 1,000, in which we said, why is my father doing this to me? He's being mean. Yeah? Just me? Maybe some of you are looking up on your phones whether that's happening. So, now, was Father being mean when we were restricted? No. Why did Father do something we didn't like?
Correct.
But Father was acting out of what?
Love.
Love. Father's acting out of love. But we didn't see it that way. But at some point in the future, as we grow, then that light bulb goes off. Father was actually looking out for me. So we know in our household whose plan is better, mother and father's plan or the child's plan?
Mother and father's.
Child's plan is to eat ice cream, breakfast, lunch, dinner. At least that's my part. But mother and father say, hey. So the simplest way to avoid fear, what is fear? It's basically I'm worried that something that I don't want to happen or shouldn't happen will happen. Isn't it? Well, Krishna is Ishvara Parama Krishna. If he is the supreme controller, what is the extent of Krishna's control? Not even a blade of grass can move in the wind without the approval of the Lord. So if a simple blade of grass is unable to move in the wind, then if I am an aspiring devotee of the Lord, how is it that anything can happen to me without the approval and sanction of the Lord? Is it possible? Is it possible?
No.
It's impossible. So, if I understand that my supreme, eternal, loving Father is in control ultimately of what happens to me, then what am I to fear? Prahlad Maharaj is being tormented by his terrorist father. And he's saying, if I am supposed to be bitten by these venomous snakes, then that must be Krishna's grand plan. I may not understand it, but I have faith that my loving Father will only do what's good for me, not bring good to me. Because what we define as good is ice cream, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Right? We come to see the Lord and we make many requests. Krishna, please give me this. Krishna, please give me that. And this. And then for my wife, for my husband, for my son, for my daughter, for my neighbor, this. And we make a long list. And when we don't get it, what do we do?
Leave.
No, we don't blame. We go to another temple. And we'll ask someone else. And ask someone else. But when we actually ask Krishna, he does two things. One, he only gives when it's good for us. Sometimes, why Krishna is not fulfilling my desires? Well, ask why your mother and father are not giving ice cream for breakfast. Simple. Don't complicate things. The same formula. I'm asking for $1 million, he's not giving. Just like mother is not giving, it's not good for me. He's not giving. So Krishna only gives to us what is good for us. And two, he teaches us what to really ask for. See, I always use this example. If you offer a child 5 chocolates or 5 diamonds, what they'll take? Is that intelligent? How many chocolates they could buy with 5 diamonds? So the child doesn't know what to ask for. It's okay. They're innocent. They're young. Well, we are also childish in our spiritual maturity. Because we don't know what to ask from the Lord. We don't know what to ask Him. So, when we go to the Lord, He says, I will purify you of asking for chocolates, and I will give you real diamonds. The jewel of a Krishna conscious heart. That is a birth. So our fear is centered in around the failure of my plan, not recognizing that whose plan is going to succeed? Krishna's. And even more importantly, this is the most important part. Whose plan is better for me? My plan or Krishna's plan? If I have faith in that and that alone, what is the source of my fear? How I can be fearful? So Prahlad Maharaj had faith in Krishna's plan. And thus, he was settled in the most unsettling of circumstances. Right? So we have to remember, faith in Krishna's plan isn't a license to be stupid. We don't go walk across the freeway and think, oh, Krishna wants me to live and I won't get hit by the semi-truck. No, that's ignorance. But the practical understanding is, we do the best that we can according to the understanding that we gain from the Bhagavad-gītā and our Shastra. And then we depend on the Lord's plan. But we have to do our endeavor. Don't think that we just sit back, okay, Krishna's plan, bring it on. No. That's like the farmer. You know, the farmer has the job to cultivate crops. But if the farmer cultivates the field, plants the crops, and nice seeds, is it guaranteed to grow? What is he dependent on? Huh? Sun and rain. Sun and rain have to come. So the farmer says, oh, you know what? I'll just wait for the sun and rain to come. And doesn't cultivate the field, doesn't plant the crops. Will anything manifest? No. So we have to do our part. We have to do our endeavor with intelligence. With intelligence. And then depend on the mercy of the Lord. But if we just sit back and depend on the mercy of the Lord, it's like the farmer saying, okay, the crops will grow if the rain comes. When the rain comes, nothing will happen. So we have to put forth our endeavor. And then let Krishna's plan unfold and have faith that that is best for me. And in that case, I'll be first. Okay? So that's a long answer to your question. Now nobody else will ask a question.
Prabhu, in purport it is mentioned about the story of Ajamila. Can you briefly summarize?
Briefly summarize Ajamila's story. So Ajamila was a great personality who was, born into a very illustrious spiritual family, practicing spiritual life from birth with great sincerity, dedication, determination. But due to just a moment's association, visually, not even in physical or verbal, but just by sight, he was thrown off its path of spirituality. And he fell so low that he became a thief, a plunderer. He left his wife and family. He had an affair. He fathered 10 children. His last child was 2 years old and he was in his 80s. You do the math. Just completely fallen from where he started. And his last child was about 2 years old as he's on his deathbed. And his last child was very dear to him. He was, youngest child, so most favored of this father, Ajamila. And Ajamila was on his deathbed. And the assistants of Yamaraj, the Yamadutas, these are the people who take sinful people to the hellish planet to atone, to pay for their sins. And they came to take him. And when they came to take him, the Vishnudutas, who come from the spiritual sky to take the soul to the heavens, we planets, came to take Ajamila. And so the Vishnudutas and Yamadutas have a debate, one could say an argument. Who has jurisdiction over this person? Who has jurisdiction over this person? So the Yamadutas say, well, this guy stole, he murdered, he was, adultery, so many sinful activities. Clearly, he has to pay for those. And the Vishnudutas said, no, he has overcome all those sins. Yamadutas said, but why what? He chanted the name Narayan. No. He didn't chant the name Narayan. He didn't? No, he chanted Narayan. Yeah, but he was calling out to his son, who he happened to name Narayan. He wasn't calling out to the Supreme Lord. He was calling out to his son. Because when he saw these scary Yamadutas coming, he wanted to tell Narayan, run away. So the Vishnudutas say, there is no condition on chanting the holy name. He wasn't chanting the holy name, he was chanting it. Narayan is the name of the Supreme Lord. And then the Vishnudutas give extraordinary evidence on the power of chanting the holy names. That if one chants the holy names, even unknowing of what they are chanting, it has effect. And they give an example. If you go to the doctor and they give you some pills, now whether you know how those pills will react with your body to cure your ailment or not, will that matter if you just take the pills? Doesn't matter. Just take the pills. If you put your hand in fire, whether you know it's hot or not, will it burn? Yes. So they say chanting the holy names are so powerful. if someone chants the names of the Lord just once, they can overcome his sins acquired in millions of lifetimes. But, there's a but. Here's a but. One must chant without offenses. Just once. Hare Krishna. Million without offenses. And Ajamil, because he was chanting without any expectation of anything in return, without any of the 10 offenses, it was considered offenses. Not yet pure, but offenses. And for that, he was saved by the Vishnuvitas from the Hindus. And he regained his consciousness from his deathbed, and from there he goes to Haridwar, and there he completes his spiritual life and goes back home back to God. And why Prabhupada quotes this reference in this purport is that because of that piety he did in his early life, it was not lost. Though it went dormant for decades, it ultimately came back, and he was able to recover himself. There was no loss in that work he did. So we get from that pastime both this topic of no loss or diminution, and also the extraordinary potency and chanting of the holy names. So if you take two things away from today's discussion: one, come tomorrow and take advantage of the greatest of all blessings to offer Abhishek to the Supreme Lord, and two, please every day chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If Ajamil got that effect from calling out to his son Narayan, imagine what effect if we chant these names with even the slightest ounce of desire to please Radha Kunjbari. What effect we would get. And that deposit you make into your account, no loss, no diminution. Eternally, your account. Thank you very much. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Hare Krishna. Now we'll serve, there'll be prasadam served outside, so please do not leave without honoring Krishna prasadam. Another great form of devotional service. And see you all tomorrow at 5 p.m. Hare Krishna.